Yo, Big C in the house. You know the name. Fin Posse Podcast. Changing the game. Fins up high. Feel the aqua and orange. Miami Heat blazing. We scorching the floor. Marino the tour. We stacking the saga. Legacy deep, call it football nirvana. Big C, break it down, got the stats in his veins. Play-by-play knowledge like he's calling the chains. Fins flying on the field, opponents feel the blast. Tyreek cheetah speed, leaving DBs in the past. Waddle with the wiggle, defense with the clamp. Aqua drip so clean, whole squash the champ. Tune in, Big C, got the mic on lock. Fin Posse Podcast, it's the cream of the crop. Breaking news, hot takes, repping the block. For the Dolphin faithful, it's the one-stop shop. Fin Posse. We the voice of the fans. Miami stand tall, got the world in our hands. Best podcast, yo, ain't no debate. Big C, big vibes, setting it straight. Defense smash, call it Aqua Tsunami. X locking routes like a South Beach Armani. O-line holding strong, trenches like a fortress. Big C dissected, no stack goes dormant.
Try to play, but you're never gonna beat me. Look the other way, what I'm doing ain't easy. Bloody hands stained from the people who deceive me. Muddy hands break through the chains, go free me. Looking for change, looking for pain. Pulling a mob, pushing a train. I'll never stop, stick to a lane. Pick up the pieces and go rearrange. I'll be the best above all the rest, put me to the test and expect nothing less. Your check is I'm chess, what's happening next? Yeah. He got the venom, a tangible weapon, no coming in second. This life is a lesson. He got a new engine from pain, it's a blessing. New focus, no guessing, just bold and obsession. All in his possession, you got their attention. I'll leave an impression and take a redemption. Just kill no discretion, your mind is a weapon. 11-11, it's time for progression. You could try to play, but you're never gonna beat me. Look the other way, what I'm doing ain't easy. Bloody hands stained from the people who deceive me. Muddy hands break through the chains, go free me. People like sheep move feet, hurt it easy. You don't wanna be fast asleep when they scheming. Better stand.
What up, Fin fans? Welcome to another episode of the Fin Posse Podcast. I'm your host, Big C, and this is brought to you by Game Changers Media. Good morning. Victory Monday yet again. 4 weeks in a row. We're here celebrating another Miami Dolphins victory, and it couldn't come against a better opponent. Those no good, stinking piece of shit Jets. You know I hate them. I hate the freaking Jets more than anything. So it was a beautiful, beautiful thing to see the Miami Dolphins come out and beat the New York Football Jets. Yeah, I hate the Jets. I hate the Jets. I hate them. I hate them. And the Miami Dolphins came out and right out the gate dominated them in the first quarter. We were up 21-0 before you even, could get comfortable in your favorite chair. It was a beautiful, beautiful thing at the beginning of the game. We're going to go through the rest of the game here in a bit, but not overly happy with how the rest of the game went. Some aspects good, some not so great. We'll talk about those. But let's welcome everybody in the building. Good morning. Michael, good morning. Miller, good morning. Dean, good morning. Daniel, good morning. Daniel says, this was sweeter than a tall glass of iced tea on a hot summer day. What up, Raphael? What up, Bonnie? Good morning. 3rd and 2, wide pass, Mike McDaniel, shake my head. Yeah, they can't. Mention the Kansas City Chiefs. Another loss last night. The Kansas City Chiefs are 6-7. The Kansas City Chiefs are probably not making the playoffs, that's got to be a wake-up call to that franchise. You've just relied on Patrick Mahomes for so long that he was just going to get the job done. And, this year, it just hasn't been the case. Rashee Rice is a decent receiver, but he's not a number one receiver. He dropped a crucial pass last night on 3rd down. Maybe it was 4th down he dropped. It was 4th down that he dropped it on. A true number one probably makes that catch, and, that game probably turns out differently. But enough about them. We have our own issues, but yesterday was a good day for the most part. Yesterday, this game, right out the jump, we jumped out 21-0. It looked like it was going to be I guess you could consider it a blowout, right? I mean, 34-10 is a blowout, I would say. I mean, when you win by, what's that? 3+ touchdowns. I mean, I guess that's considered a blowout. But there were some things I did not love in this game, in the middle of this game, where I thought that we could have took advantage. I thought that we should have probably beat the Jets by more than 24 points. The Jets were on their 3rd string quarterback, a rookie quarterback who's never played a down in football in the NFL. I just feel like with the mistakes the Jets were making, the way that our defense was playing, that the Miami Dolphins had a real opportunity to make a huge statement. And, I don't think they did that. I think they did what they were supposed to do. This is what a team is supposed to do. You're supposed to beat a bad team convincingly. The Miami Dolphins did that. So I don't want to be too critical on them. You know what I mean? I don't want to be too critical, but at the same time, a lot of left opportunities on the table. The Miami Dolphins, they won this game the way they've won the other 4 games during this 4-game winning streak. They were able to establish the run early. They were allowed to establish the run early. They've been the number 1 rushing attack in the NFL in the last month. Mike McDaniel's done a wonderful job with, Brunskill in the backfield and, 2 running backs in the backfield and just doing a great job running the football. But Devon Achane has been a beast. He's establishing himself as one of the true stars in the NFL. It's a pleasure watching him play. He is the face of this franchise right now, 100%. Just a great back. A great back. He's so patient, and then when he decides what he wants to do, he's so explosive, right? He hits those. He's patient. He sees what lane he wants to take, and then he's off. He's off to the races. It seems like he's breaking big plays every other run. He did suffer an injury scare. Now, when he got shaken up, I thought it was a knee issue. A lot of other people thought it was a knee issue. I was surprised to hear that it was his ribs. Mike McDaniel did say that it's nothing serious, but we've heard that from Mike McDaniel before about players saying it's nothing serious. And then, next thing you know, a player's nowhere to be found, right? James Daniels, they were considering not even putting him on injured reserve because they didn't know if he was going to need that amount of time. And now look, we're through 14 weeks of the season and James Daniels hasn't been seen. So I am nervous about Devon Achane because as soon as Devon Achane went out, and don't get me wrong, Jalen Wright had a very good game, the best game of his young career so far. I think he's talented, but there was a noticeable difference between Jalen Wright and Devon Achane. There was a noticeable difference. You can be on the Jalen Wright, hype train all you want, and that's cool. And I think he's talented, and I think he he can be a good number 2 back or number 3, depending. Ollie Gordon, sometimes he's the number 2 back, sometimes he's number 3 back. Ollie Gordon's the power back. I would say probably Jalen Wright's the number 2 back and Ollie Gordon's the power back. But there was still a noticeable difference. After ACHANE went down. The Miami Dolphins ran the ball for 239 total yards, which is phenomenal. Devon ACHANE, he had 92 yards. And only a few carries. He had 92 yards and a touchdown early in this game. He could have had a monster game if it wasn't for the injury. But still in all, a great job. 3 different running backs for the Miami Dolphins hit pay dirt. Ollie Gordon got a touchdown. Jalen Wright got a touchdown. Devon ACHANE got a touchdown. I don't know the last time that's happened for the Miami Dolphins. I don't know if it's ever happened for the Miami Dolphins. Does anybody know if there was a game where 3 different running backs scored touchdowns for the Miami Dolphins? I want to think back. You got the Ronnie Brown, Ricky Williams years. Was there a third player that ended up getting a touchdown? That's a curious question. I'd like to get an answer to. But yeah, this Miami Dolphins team, they did what they were supposed to. They ran the ball against a very bad Jets defense. This Jets defense is bad. They have no interceptions on the season. Tua almost gave him a couple yesterday. Luckily for us, the New York Jets just seem destined to not intercept a pass this year. But it is what it is. Sometimes that's the way the ball dropped yesterday. Sometimes those plays go in our favor. Sometimes they don't. But I was super happy with the running game yesterday. Like I said, Jalen Wright over 100 yards. First time in his young NFL career that he did that. The defense was very, very good yesterday. But again, consider the opponent. You had a quarterback that has never played a down in the NFL, thrust into the starting lineup. Tyrod Taylor went down very early in this game. I think this game would have been a lot closer if Tyrod Taylor would have played the whole game, because I think Tyrod Taylor is a very good backup quarterback. But I think this Dolphins defense has improved to the point that you can count on them to be good and make plays for you. They're not that constant break, and you hope that they can get a stop every once in a while. They are a strength of this football team at this point. Everybody knows about Jordan Brooks. I said he's the best middle linebacker we've had on this team since Zach Thomas. I don't think that's an understatement whatsoever. Rasul Douglas, he's been phenomenal for us. Dotson's played very well. Zach Sealer yesterday, best game of the season, 2.5 sacks. Great seeing Zach Sealer get involved and start making plays. Chop Robinson had a sack. Bradley Chubb had a half a sack. Dotson had an interception. Rasul Douglas had an interception. Ethan freaking Bonner with an interception. Ethan Bonner and Rasul Douglas's interceptions kept points off the board for the New York Jets. That was freaking great. Again, this defense had the Jets locked up all day. Let's see. I wrote too close together in my notes. Yeah, Jalen ACHANE had 7 carries, 92 yards, and a touchdown. He was on pace for a huge game. Huge game if it wasn't for the injury. Yeah, they held Breece Hall to 14 carries, 43 yards. Just could not get anything going. Even when Brady Cook, and I think Brady Cook for the New York Jets did some positive things for them, but even when he started to get things going, like I said, Ethan Bonner had an interception that it took points off the board. Rasul Douglas, big interception that took points off board. There was a bad pass interference called on Minka Fitzpatrick. I didn't think that was a pass interference, but it is what it is. Willie Gay had a sack. Melifanu had a sack. I want to make sure I mention them. Bradley Chubb had a half of one. Now to the bad. Let's get to the bad. Special teams. Special teams gave up a punt return for a touchdown yesterday. They also gave up a first down on a fake punt. They need to be better. They just need to be better. We can't be giving up special teams touchdowns. Blake, what's up? Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Tua Tagovailoa started this game strong. He looked like the Tua of old, right? 8 for 8 coming out the gate with a touchdown. Looked like he was going to have a really good game. Tua Tagovailoa 6-0 against the Jets in his career. Looked like he was going to have another classic Tua game against the Jets. And then he just completely fell off, and we've seen the issues resurface that we've seen all season. The floating passes, the overshots, the just miscues by Tua Tagovailoa, the bad decision making. Just throwing the football in dangerous situations because there's pressure coming. You know what I mean? The Miami Dolphins cannot beat good teams if Tua's going to play football like that. It's going to take a team effort. And Tua just has not been up to par so far. And now we're sitting 14 games in, and it's like, what is wrong? What is the issue? Now, arm strength, the hip, you can. There's a number of things you can say about why his velocity is different on passes, why his accuracy is off. But what about the God dang it. I got it, Merler. I got it. What about the just mental miscues? What about the mental miscues? Because there's mental miscues this guy's making that he should not be making. And I'm specifically talking about the play at the end of the second quarter. You know, Razul intercepts the ball. God dang it. Sorry, hold on. Sorry about that, folks. So I'm specifically talking about the play at the end of the second half. The Miami Dolphins, Razul Douglas intercepts the pass. Miami Dolphins, less than a minute left, have the ball deep in their own territory. It gets a third down, right? The Jets trying to get the ball back before the half. There's not a lot of time on the clock. They get us a third down. Mike McDaniel's partial to blame for this. You know, he calls a terrible play call, in my opinion. They call some kind of screenplay, it looks like, to Jalen Wright. Yesterday, Jalen Wright, as good as he ran, every time that a pass was intended for Jalen Wright, or it just didn't look right? It looked like Tua and Jalen Wright weren't on the same page as far as throwing and catching the ball goes. But this play call, I don't love the play call. I feel like screenplays are very dangerous plays. You know, there's always a chance that, you know, the corner reads the play and jumps in there and intercepts the ball. There's always a chance that, the safety reads the play and comes in there and makes a bone-crushing hit that knocks the ball loose. But in this instance, Tua takes the snap, steps back, pressure's coming. Tua senses the pressure, throws the ball early. Jalen Wright is not even looking in his direction. And I don't care what the refs say. Tua threw the ball backwards. That should have been a fumble. It should have been a fumble. The Dolphins got away with one. But Tua cannot make that throw. Throw it forward out of bounds. Get rid of the ball that way. But you cannot just blindly throw the ball to a player that is not looking behind the line of scrimmage backwards. That could have been a crucial mistake. Now, the Jets were in such bad shape yesterday that I don't know if it would have even mattered if they would have got the scoop and score on that play. I think the Dolphins probably would have still came out on top. But you can't make plays like that. You can't do it. You can't do it. You cannot do it. The Miami Dolphins, Tua Tagovailoa needs to be better down the stretch, or the Miami Dolphins are not going to beat the Pittsburgh Steelers. They're not going to be able to beat the Cincinnati Bengals. They're not going to be able to beat the Tampa Bay Bucks, and they certainly won't be able to beat the New England Patriots. The Miami Dolphins need to win out to have any type of opportunity at a playoff spot. And now that we're past the soft spot in our schedule, the Miami Dolphins need to play better. They need to run the ball efficiently like they have been. I think they'll be able to do that as long as ACHANE's okay. But this is going to come down on the shoulders of Tua. Tua's got to play better. If you're a Tua fan, that's cool. I'm a Miami Dolphins fan. And if you can't admit that Tua has severely regressed this season, it looks like Tua has aged 7 years from last year to this year. He just has not been the same caliber quarterback. He's always been limited. He's always been limited in his abilities, but he's had a skill set that was valuable to our franchise. He no longer has that skill set. He has no longer those attributes where he is one of the most accurate quarterbacks in the league, that he has this phenomenal ball placement, anticipation. He's not that quarterback. And then if you add in all the things that he can't do besides that, now you don't even have an adequate quarterback. You don't have a good quarterback. You got a bad quarterback. Now we're not winning games because of Tua or with the help of Tua. Now we're winning games in spite of Tua. And that's not a good look. That's not a good look. We can't beat teams in spite of Tua. This team's not that good. Roadrunner says beating nobodies should not be enough for Tua McDaniel to keep their job. Winning in freezing cold Monday night and winning out, I'd be slightly impressed. I mean, Roadrunner, you wouldn't be more than slightly impressed if they won out. I'd truly be impressed. I'm impressed with the job Mike McDaniel's done this year. I'm impressed with Mike McDaniel. He took a team that was pass first, pass heavy. In the last 4 to 6 weeks, we've been the number one rushing team in the NFL. I'm impressed by that. I'm impressed that he was able to change the whole way this team runs. And if you look at this roster, you got to look at the cornerback position. We're not great at corner. The whole right side of our offensive line was injured. we were relying on, 5 rookies to be key contributors to this football team. You have a starting quarterback that is severely regressed. How can you not be impressed with Mike McDaniel's coaching job this year? Now, Mike McDaniel still makes mistakes that I'm just like, Mike, what the freak are you doing, bro? Mike, like, what are you doing, bro? But for the most part, I've been impressed with Mike McDaniel. I think he's done a very good job. And I dare say if you gave Mike McDaniel a top 12 quarterback that didn't have the deficiencies that Tua Tagovailoa has, Mike McDaniel could do some real dangerous things in this league. I mean, his play callings, sometimes his play calling is, my head scratching. But Mike McDaniel comes up with some crazy schemes. Who would have thought to put an extra offensive lineman in the backfield? You know what I mean? No, I know teams have put defensive tackles and big guys at the fullback position in the past. But full time putting an extra offensive lineman on the field. I think Mike McDaniel has a bright future still. And whether it's with the Miami Dolphins or it's not, that's yet to be determined. But I think Mike McDaniel has a very, very bright future. And I think he will get better at the things that he's bad at. Miller says, we've reached our win limit. Steelers, Bengals, Bucks going to beat us. And I don't know what New England holds. I don't think you can necessarily say that, Miller. If we run the football good, I think we can beat any of those teams. You control the clock. Don't allow their offenses on the field. Our defense has been very good. Look at the Steelers have given up a shit ton of rushing yards. We all know about Cincinnati's defense. The game I'm most nervous about is probably the Tampa Bay game. We've showed that we can play with New England this year. I think New England's a tad overrated. Who knows if New England plays their starters week 18. So the game that I fear the most is the Tampa Bay game. But then again, Tampa Bay lost to the Saints yesterday. So, this has been a wacky year in the NFL. Who knows what's going to happen? Who knows what's going to happen? But I know if the Miami Dolphins come out and they run the football and they play efficiently and Tua can eliminate the mistakes and, help contribute. If they can help contribute, who knows? Who knows? We're too one-dimensional, and it's getting to the deception time of the season. Well, yeah, I mean, I think we need to get the ball in the hands of Darren Waller more. Greg DeLuch, I'm very impressed by that guy. Give him a contract extension. He impresses me with his hands. Yesterday, he showed that he can move with the ball in his hands. That was a great play he made. It was called that because of a penalty. But, man, I didn't think he could move like that. I did not think he could move like that. I would sign him up immediately. Sign him up immediately. But get the hint. You need to utilize Darren Waller better. We don't have any playmakers at the wide receiver position besides Jalen Waddle. And you guys all know how I feel about Jalen Waddle. Jalen Waddle is a good player, but he's not an elite. He's not elite. He's not going to make up for the lack of man, I'm trying to think of the word. Production of the other guys. Jalen, someone needs to step up. Malik Washington has been a disappointment in my eyes. These guys can't get open. Taj Washington, not existent. Nick Westbrook Akine, not existent. So, I mean, that's an issue. That's an issue for this offense. You have Darren Waller and you got Jalen Waddle. That's who you got. Now you could use ACHANE at receiver more, and since Jalen Wright is running the ball well right now, I mean, you could try to change things up that way. Yeah, Wilson Jr. barely plays. Miller says, there are any free agent quarterbacks we could sign? No, they're not bringing anybody in to compete with Tua. Again, there's a good chance Tua doesn't lose his job next year, let alone this year. I think it'd be in Mike McDaniel's best interest if they moved on from Tua. If Mike McDaniel's here next year, it'd be in his best interest to move on from Tua Tagovailoa so he could get a fresh start with a different quarterback. That's just my opinion. Bonnie says you need a strong run game and a good defense to win in December, and I think we have both. We just need Tua to play good, not great, and we should be fine. But that's the thing, Bonnie. He leads the league in turnovers, first off. He could have had multiple turnovers yesterday. He's not playing good. Screw great. He's not playing good. The quarterback doesn't have chemistry with them, which is sad. Should have been putting the work in instead of eating chips on the couch to yeah, I don't know what goes on behind the scenes like that. I mean, no, Miller, Mike McDaniel wouldn't take a demotion to stay here. That's not happening. Simply because he doesn't have to, Miller. He's not going to sit here and eat crow to keep a job. Mike McDaniel will have plenty of suitors for offensive coordinator. Like, I'd say Mike McDaniel would probably have a list of 15 to 20 teams that'd be willing to go and hire Mike McDaniel as their offensive coordinator. And I don't think that's highballing at all. Mike McDaniel's play calling ability is highly respected among the league. That's why Stephen Ross loves the guy so much. He hears how people talk about Mike McDaniel behind the scenes. Nah, Michael Roadrunner is not Michael K. Michael K wouldn't be that nice to us. He wouldn't be that positive. Believe that. But yeah, yesterday, I think we should have probably won that game. We probably should have dropped 50 on them boys yesterday. I don't know why we went away from the run as much as we did in the middle of that game. Again, if Devon Achane doesn't get hurt yesterday, he probably has 200 yards, 3 touchdowns. Joe, you didn't hear no such thing of that. Quinn should have played. I mean, Zach Wilson didn't have no meaningful snaps yesterday, right? It's not like he came in and got some real run with the first team. Will they just hand the ball off? But the Dolphins have an opportunity. They're still alive. Yesterday you had the Chiefs lose. Obviously, I mean that helps. You had the Ravens lose to the Steelers. My video feed's frozen. Sorry about that. Maybe I just wasn't moving. You had the Steelers lose to the Raven, or the Steelers beat the Ravens. Daniel Jones going down for the Colts is devastating for them, but the Colts hold the tiebreaker over us. So if we finish with the same record as the Colts, we're shot, right? The Ravens, if we finish with the same record as the Ravens, we're shot, right? The Chargers, if somehow we finish with the same record as Chargers, we're shot. It's gonna be a tough task to get into that final playoff spot. But all we can do right now is do what we can do, and that's win football games. And to win these last four, again, we just went through probably, the easiest couple games. You had the Saints, the Jets, went through a little easy stretch there. It gets considerably tougher. You got the Pittsburgh Steelers next. They're the head of that division. They're in first place in the AFC North right now. And then you got Cincinnati with Joe Burrow being back. Even though they don't have a lot of wins over there, very explosive offense. They can drop 40 on you all day long. And then, of course, you got Tampa Bay, Baker Mayfield. He's a dog. They lost to the Saints yesterday, but, that's going to be a tough game. And then, of course, you got the New England Patriots, who right now are sitting at the top of the conference. Now, will they have something to play for the last week of the season? We'll see. Who knows? But again, if we can run the ball, Devon Achane he's been an animal. He should be up for Offensive Player of the Year. He won't win it. Jonathan Taylor has better stats. So Jonathan Taylor should win. But Devon Achane should be in consideration for that award. Jonathan Taylor is going to win that award more than likely. But Devon Achane should be mentioned. He should be a candidate. He deserves at least that much. He deserves that recognition. And let me give a shout out before I forget. Jonas Avayanai, what a great game he had yesterday. He's downfield, making blocks, knocking people around. Listen, all these rookies are progressing. They're progressing. They're starting to show why we drafted them. They're starting to show why the future could be bright for the Miami Dolphins. Kenneth Grant has been playing better. Jordan Phillips been playing better. Zeke Biggers, when he gets an opportunity, plays decent football. Dante Trader has played good football. Ollie Gordon at times has looked nice as a power back. And now Jonah's starting to get things going on the offensive line. This draft can say a lot about how fast this team can get back to playoff contention, how quickly they can get to perhaps being a Super Bowl contender. This draft is going to be critical to that, as is next year's draft. Again, we have a first, a second, 3 number 3s. That's going to be crucial to the success in this rebuild. But I'm super happy. Victory Monday, I love it. Again, it hurts the playoffs, or not the playoff. It hurts the draft situation. But I mean, you play football to win football games. You play football to have an opportunity at the playoffs. And we've kept ourselves alive. We're sitting at 6-7. You know what I mean? We're sitting at 6-7. Have an opportunity next week against Pittsburgh Steelers to get to 500. And if you told me that we were going to have an opportunity to be 7-7 after 15 weeks a month and a half ago, I would have said you're full of it. Only the real survive says, yo, Big C, they coming on at the end of the year. So at the beginning of next season will be critical for the rookies. Yeah, I agree. Look at the jump that Jesus. Sometimes I just have brain farts. Who's our left tackle, man? Sometimes I just have brain farts. Anyway, look at the jump that he's had. Look at the jump from year 1 to year 2. From year 1 to year 2, look at the jump that he's had. Patrick Ball, thank you. But look at the jump that the guys had. And only the real survive says Chop is the perfect example of that. Chop Robinson, I feel like the biggest issue with Chop, I think he just wasn't getting enough playing time. I don't think he was getting enough of a run, enough feel for the game. They were doing too much subbing in and out. Jalen Phillips getting time, Bradley Chubb. There just wasn't enough playing time for each player. Some players you can't go into the game cold. A lot of players aren't like that. They got to get a feel for the game to get going, get their motor running. And I think that was the issue with Chop. Chop just wasn't getting the burn that he needed. And I think that since there's less, people at the table, his play has gotten better. Now that Jalen's gone, it's going to help Chop progress. I don't think that's the case. I think Chop could have beat out Jalen. But Jalen's a freak. Jalen's a practice freak, though, because he's got the crazy skill set. He's got a crazy, he's big, he's physical, he's fast. And that's true too. Chop wasn't as good against the run. And Jalen was probably the best linebacker against the run. So I think eventually he would have probably been out. He would have been able to beat him out. But that was hard to ask a second-year player to beat out one of your top defensive players. Chop was a project when we drafted him. Chop wasn't a polished. He wasn't polished when we drafted him. He was a project. He was someone that we were going to have to work with. If at all possible, though, I'm dressing Jacob Rodriguez, though he is Micah Parsons, but better. How can you say that, though? How can you say he's Micah Parsons, but better? Micah Parsons, one of the best defenders in the league. How are you going to call some guy that's never done anything better than Micah Parsons? That was Juden out there so much. Chop has to contain the run. Those boys trying to win. Absolutely. He's got to do his job or he's not going to get on the field. He's got to do better, and I think he has done better. I think he had a really nice game yesterday. Of course, you got to consider the competition, though. This Jets team is bad. They're very, very bad. They're very, very bad. But hey, victory Monday, another win for the good guys. Hopefully the Miami Dolphins can keep it going because at this point, we're sitting in that mediocre draft position anyway. So if we don't keep it going, it was all for nothing. You know what I mean? It was all for nothing except for Mike McDaniel to possibly keep his job. And at this point, I do think Mike McDaniel keeps his job. I know that's not very popular around this fan base, and I understand it and I get it. I understand it and I get it. But I do think Mike McDaniel is going to be given another year. Stephen Ross likes Mike McDaniel. And I think Mike McDaniel can succeed still. I think Mike McDaniel can still be a playoff caliber coach, a Super Bowl caliber coach. Is there things that he needs to improve? Absolutely. Absolutely. But I think he's capable. Absolutely. Absolutely. That's one thing that I've been impressed with too. A lot of teams would have quit. A lot of teams would have quit on their coach. A lot of teams would have quit on their coach 7 weeks ago. So I'm highly impressed that he was able to keep everybody motivated, everybody believing in the ultimate goal of making the playoffs. He kept everybody positive, everybody playing and improving. They've improved. So the fact that he can keep them from falling on the sword and to keep motivated that's a positive trait. That's a positive check mark on Mike McDaniel. I want McDaniel gone because he was super big behind Tua getting his money. Listen, and he was, but they were coming off the 2023 year. Let's be real, that offense was humming. They had the number one offense in all of football. So of course Mike McDaniel is worried. He's worried. He wants it. It's not his money. I don't think for a second that he thought that he was going to get this version of Tua. He thought he was going to get the 2023 version of Tua. Well, that Tua's gone. Miller says, I think Gruden should at least get an interview. I don't think I can't say that you're wrong. I can't say that you're wrong. I think John Gruden could be a very good head coach for the Miami Dolphins. But what do I know? What do I know? I'm just a Dolphins fan. I agree. We shouldn't have gained the contract early. But Mike McDaniel, think about it. You got a bunch of backups out here throwing the football. You just came off a great season that's seen you lose to the Kansas City Chiefs in the playoffs. You had a late season meltdown because of injuries. So Mike McDaniel had to have had high hopes for 2024. Mike McDaniel had to feel the promise of 2024 season. He had to have been like, if we can just stay healthy, we got a Super Bowl contender on our hands. Now, did it turn out that way? No. And why didn't it? A lot of it had to do with Chris Greer, our dumbass general manager, not building the roster up, having too much faith, treating Tua like Patrick Mahomes, not getting them the core pieces and the key ingredients to have a winning, successful franchise, ignoring the offensive line. Mike knows Tua's not it, but Tua not getting paid was Mike admitting defeat. I think Mike and Tua honestly care about each other. I want Mike McDaniel gone because he isn't a true head coach. He is an offensive coordinator plus. He doesn't call timeouts right. He suffers the same coaching delays. He just doesn't do much. Well, he keeps that team motivated, Miller, and I think that those are things that he's going to get better at. First-time head coaches do struggle with that. First-time head coaches struggle with things like that. I think those are things he can get better at. Glenn, good morning, brother. I seen you over there with TD yesterday. I hope you had a good time. This is Mike's first head coaching job. I say stay with him at least 3 more years, just my opinion. I don't know about 3 more. I don't know about 3 more. I don't know about 3 more, but another year I'm cool with. Another year I'm cool with. But yeah, next week, Monday Night Football, Dolphins versus Steelers. The guy doesn't make adjustments. That's another thing he's got to work on. He does got to do better at that. He's got to do better at that. There, like I said, there are things that he needs to improve on. He needs to definitely be better than that, better on some things, but I think he can be better at those things. I think those are things I would love for him to bring in some kind of assistant head coach, an assistant head coach that helps him with things like that. I think that'd be the perfect thing for Mike McDaniel. Bring in an old veteran that can be an assistant head coach. That's not the offensive coordinator, not the defensive coordinator, but just a guy that helps you with your day-to-day stuff. But please hit that like button, subscribe, comment, share. I love y'all. I appreciate y'all. Victory Monday. Enjoy it. Who knows how many more we have of those this year. Hopefully at least 5 more. Hopefully we have 5 more Victory Mondays. But who knows how many more we do have. This could be the last. But hopefully we have 5 more. At least 5 more. Hopefully there's a Victory Monday. Well, Victory Tuesday against the Steelers. Victory Monday against the Bengals. Victory Monday against the Bucks. Victory Monday against the Patriots. And this one went we to a playoff victory. But anyway, I love y'all. I appreciate you all. If you guys would like to donate to the show, I appreciate it. You know, it's hard out here for a pimp. But I love y'all. I appreciate you all. And I will see y'all tomorrow. Until then, enjoy Victory Monday and fins up. Peace.
Yo. Big C in the house. You know the name. Fin Posse Podcast. Changing the game. Fins up high. Feel the aqua and orange. Miami Heat blazing. We scorching the floor. Marino the tour. We stacking the saga. Legacy deep. Call it football nirvana. Big C break it down. Got the stats in his veins. Play by play knowledge like he's calling the chains. Fins flying on the field. Opponents feel the blast. Tyreek cheetah speed. Leaving DBs in the past. Waddle with the wiggle. Defense with the clamp. Aqua drip so clean. Whole squash the champ. Tune in. Big C. Got the mic on lock. Fin Posse Podcast. It's the cream of the crop. Breaking news. Hot takes. Repping the block. For the Dolphin faithful. It's the one-stop shop. Fin Posse. We the voice of the fans. Miami stand tall, got the world in our hands. Best podcast, yo, ain't no debate. Big C, big vibes, setting it straight. Defense smash, call it Aqua Tsunami. X locking routes like a South Beach Armani. O-line holding strong, trenches like a fortress. Big C dissected, no stack goes dormant.